Today we're going to be reading the book Big Al by Andrew Clements. Yoshi is our illustrator. In the wide blue sea, there was a very friendly fish named Big Al. You could not find a nicer fish. There's our Big Al. But Big Al was also very, very, very scary. Other fish seemed to have at least one friend. Some had many, but Big Al, he had none. He did not really blame the other fish. How could they expect a little fish to trust a great big fish with eyes and skin and teeth like his? So Big Al was lonely and cried big salty tears in the big salty sea. But Big Al really wanted friends, so he worked at it. First, he tried wrapping himself up with seaweed. He thought it was a great disguise, but no one else did. Who wants to stop and talk to a floating plant that has big, sharp teeth? Then he thought that if he puffed himself up round, the other fish would laugh and see how clever and silly he could be. They all saw how big he could be, and they steered clear away. Big Al, really Big Al. Very early one morning, Big Al went down to the bottom and flopped and wiggled himself under the sand until he was almost all covered up. He looked much smaller. Other fish came near. Big Al talked and joked with them. He had a delightful time. But then one scratchy little grain of sand got into his gills and he sneezed. When the clouds of sand cleared away, all the other fish were gone. There's Big Al sneezing. Look at those teeth. Big Al even changed his color one day, so he would look like he belonged to a school of tiny fish passing by. He bubbled along with them for a while, laughing and feeling just like he was one of the crowd. But he was so big and so clumsy that when all the tiny fish darted to the left and then quickly back to the right, Big Al just plowed straight ahead. He went bumping and thumping right into the little fish. Before he could even say, "Excuse me," they were gone. And he was alone again, sadder than ever. Poor Big Al. Just when Big Al started to be sure he would never have a single friend, something happened. He was floating along sadly watching some of the smaller fish and was wishing they would come closer. As he watched, a net dropped down silently from above, and in an instant, they were caught. Help us, help us. Big Al forgot all about being lonely, and he forgot all about being sad. His big eyes bulged out bigger and rounder than ever, and with a mighty flip of his tail, he opened his mouth and charged straight at the net. The net was stronger, but Big Al was even stronger. He ripped right through it, and all the little fish rushed out through the hole. But when Big Al tried to turn around to go out of the hole, he got all tangled up in the net and he was stuck. The net went higher and higher towards the bright surface of the sea, and the little fish watched Big Al as he disappeared above them. When the little fish were able to speak again, all they could talk about was the huge, wonderful fish that had saved them. How great to be free, but what a shame that big fellow had been captured. Just then, there was a tremendous crashing splash above them, and the small fish dashed away. Was it the net again? No, not at all. It was Big Al. Those fishermen took one look at him and threw him right back into the ocean. And now there is one huge, puffy, scary, fierce-looking fish in the sea who has more friends than anyone else. Big Al. The end.